Greetings guys, hey, thanks for joining me. Aries, welcome to the new decade, the 2020s. This is your reading for January 2020. This is the decade I've been talking about for some time in terms of immense change. Some astrologers are terming it a mind-blowing sound of change. And one of the reasons is the conjunction of Pluto, Jupiter and Saturn that is occurring as January transits in. And on the 26th of December in 2019, there was the final eclipse for the year, also a notably strong eclipse. So as we embark on this new decade, which is easing us into the age of Aquarius, we will see, feel and experience many changes at many different levels. Now, I've done a little bit of intuitive work for you guys. You've received this mantra which you can choose to use at any time you like. Come back to it, or empowerment. Here is the mantra that you received. Abundance is drawn to my every action. I am a magnet for divine prosperity. Well, I thought that was a pretty cool mantra. So as I say, choose to use it whenever you feel the need, and this can be more than just the month ahead. It's a very positive mantra to start off this brand new decade with. Let's see what's in store for you guys, Aries. We're using the John Holland Psychic Tarot deck here. This is for Aries for the new decade, for January. I don't think we'll pick all those cards. I think they fell off rather than jumping out. Aries for the new decade. What's in store for Aries? That's number 20, which is the Judgment card, the Truth card, as John Holland likes to call it. The Balance, the card of balance. It makes sense that it might turn up at this very new dawn of evolution as we try to balance things going forward in many different ways. This is for Aries. What's in store for them for January? We've got a few that have come out, but I'm just going to continue the shuffling process. 7 of Cups as well. Those two have made themselves more known than the other two that are there. This is for Aries for January. Well, now we have probably ended up with more than we started with, which is ironic in itself. So perhaps we will carry on. So 3 that remained hidden and 5 that have shown themselves. So we've got a little bit of this choose wisely here and discontent and boredom. We've got harmony over here, which is the Lovers card, and the 8 of Pentacles, positive movement forward. These two seem to have come out together as well. We've also got the Judgment card here, which is one of the biggest ones in the deck. It's especially one of the biggest major arcanas. I'm wondering what the other 3 underneath are. They're a little bit more hidden, so whether their story is coming out or whether it's a slightly hidden process, we'll see as we turn them over. But these two here are definitely almost telling the same story. There are choices around you and options, it appears, as the decade comes in, moves itself into phasing. And you're being told to make wise choices and wise decisions. Now, sometimes these can be things that affect the mind or the heart and emotions. The choices can be different for each of you. So for some of you, it might be a job choice, or a choice about a new relationship, or a health-related choice, or a monetary choice. It can be many different things to people. And it could be that the choices are coming up because you are looking. So you are expanding your horizon because there's a degree of discontent or boredom around you. Sometimes it's important to understand that we need to go through certain processes or events for a reason. And sometimes those events take their own timing and we can't necessarily rush them. Now that is often when we start to feel this discontent and boredom, but sometimes it's a process that we have to work through and be content with instead of feeling the discontent. Let's see what these other guys are. Oh wow, my favorite of all, the Magician. New beginnings. That was the other thing I forgot to say. The number I got for you when I did your mantra work was the number 1. Well, it was actually 19, and 19 adds up to 10, which adds up to 1, and there you have the Magician. I love him when he turns up. He has an illuminated mind in this card, very much talking about possibilities of new awareness coming in, and this will be the case as these planets that are aligning take shape and the course of the human direction in life is starting to evolve and change to a much different level. So many of us will experience these new energetic thought fields, connection to collective consciousness, understanding the greater cosmos, connection to the higher self. So this could be awareness in terms, or magic in terms of an awakening or an epiphany of your mind or your thoughts. Now, interestingly enough, the Judgment card goes hand in hand with that as well. It's very much about waking up to understand that something you've been doing or a direction you have been heading in is not actually giving you satisfaction. We're back to the boredom and discontent. So even though we've had these two that they've said choose wisely, and I've talked about the fact that we do have to sometimes go through periods of boredom for a certain reason, because a timing event is occurring or it's an experience that we have to go through. You're also being given the indication that there could be a new awakening or a dawn of an evolution coming for some of you. To get these two together is very profound. I'm wondering what these other ones will be under here now. They're making me quite interested to look. So to get those two together is very profound, and there's a lot that could be occurring in your life at this point in time. One thing you can be sure of, that you will be noticing immense change. It could be very deep personal change. It might be your integrity values. It might be a philosophical belief system. It might be a long-term health system. It could be a long-term relationship. It could be a career that you've been in for a long time. All of these things could be evolving and rebalancing or restructuring themselves. For some of you, it could be like moving countries, immigrating, changing a status in your life from, as I say, something like a relationship from married to divorced, or from single to married, blended families. There's all sorts of things that could be being inferred in the depth and the breadth of these two cards together. Heartache and loss, and I suppose it was sort of like that. I don't really know if it's here nor there, that it's up or down, but there appears to be something around maybe relationships and a change taking place there. Some of you, this might be a relationship change and you realize fundamentally that things were not working out, or that something had to change. Perhaps you weren't being honest with yourself, or there was a disparity within the relationship, or you had felt this discontent and boredom coming in. Maybe there's choices around you in terms of relationships, and maybe it's in part because you have experienced some heartache and loss with some relationships, and it has moved you into these type of positions. But remember, the one I haven't addressed yet over here is the Harmony card, which is of course the Lovers card. Now these two are 6 and 3, and they often represent a matter of choice. And you've also got the Choose Wisely card. So for some of you, there might be a third party involved somewhere along the line in a relationship. It doesn't have to be your personal, intimate relationship. It can be within a friendship or even within a family circle. It could even be for some of you within a business-orientated situation, because this can also be business partnerships, the Harmony card. But you've got a little bit of like a paradox thing going on with your reading, because you're getting polar opposites in the cards that have arrived. So it's like some of you might be experiencing one degree of this. You could be experiencing this amazing love coming in, or like soulmate coming in, that has been a complete new beginning. There is magic within it, and it's going to be changing the direction of your life at a very, very deep level. So for some of you, this could be brand new, interesting, exciting energy that is coming into your life. And for others of you, it's the other way around, that you perhaps might be leaving something that you have had for a long time because it needed to be balanced, and it has been leaving you in a state of discontent and boredom, and seeking choices and wanting to move out or get some freedom, but that it has created a degree of loss anyhow. This card here can indicate the choices that we have to make, or that 3 people may have been involved. So sometimes it indicates an affair going on. Sometimes it's an unexpected pain that comes in. You might find some information out that you wish you didn't find out, or that you wish hadn't existed. It can be what we call a temporary heartache, so it does move on, but it can be quite difficult and painful to deal with in the moment of time. If this is a relationship around you that you wish to keep, but you feel it is almost beyond redemption, there is a chance that you can do this through reconciliation, using mediation, or counselling, or psychology, or going to group therapy, or things along those lines, because this is the 3 of Swords, and the Swords is about communication. Let's see what this final one is over here. Yes, balance. So, you know, the balance is the same in many ways as the Judgment card. We're getting a lot in here about balancing things out, as if something is out of balance and it needs to be brought back into kilter. This card can often represent an air sign person, and sometimes a Libran as well. This is known as the karmic adjudicator, if you like, and he often turns up when there are things like a divorce occurring and new beginnings taking place. He can also be when something like a business is dissolving and the final papers are being signed in the courts. They can represent going to court, so sometimes for things like family courts, the custody of children, the arrival of divorce papers in the mail or through the internet into your inbox. It can be the signing up of new businesses, so some of you may literally be forming new businesses and bringing balance and harmony and truth into these new businesses. As I said, this is a very interesting paradox within this reading going on. I'm not picking that there's a definitive energy that's telling me it's all good or it's all bad. There's a little bit of both going on in here for different groups of you. Don't forget too, this one here, the positive movement forward, which is the 8 of Pentacles. This is also about just solid, grounded foundations with your finances. There's a firmness to them. There's a firmness to the way you've earned your money or how you've put it into investments or savings as well. It's also the card that shows that you work with your hands. This can be work that is manual labor. So for some of you, this might be a job that's coming, or that you work in the fields, not the fields exactly, but maybe you work with your hands in a creative way. It could be creating projects or fabrics or designs, or even what I'm doing here is working with the hands. It can also indicate healing work as well. Now, his interpretation of it is positive movement forward, and he is going on a trip overseas. So there may be water coming up for you in January. You may be on the water, you may be on a boat, but this is a very pleasant, well-balanced, happy, prosperous card. Sometimes in the traditional tarot, I see it as sometimes needing a little bit of work on the lower back area of your body, including the hips, thighs, legs, also the internal organs around that area. So like the bowel or the intestines, there can be some irritable situations with that, sometimes something like an appendix as well. So some of you may have a physical thing that is going on in health related wise as we move into this January period. But if we're trying to look overall at the messages, I think the messages are as different and kind of messy as the way the cards came out. Some of them came out face up, some were face down. We ended up with quite a lot of cards out. They're quite different messages. Some are really positive and powerful and beautiful cards, and others are more of a sort of a metal and a warning cards. If we put all of these in here together, which are the major arcanas, the most important that have popped out for you, you know, the Magician and the Lovers is pure magic. It's like a chemistry or an alchemy that could be happening for some of you at a very deep connective soul level with possibly another person. Sometimes it can be with a group of people, sometimes it can be with an animal as well, or with a higher spiritual energetic bond that you're having. Sometimes this can be the awareness of your higher self, the connection to cosmic energies. It can be the beginning of a spiritual evolution, most definitely, especially with the Truth or Judgment card. This one, the Balance card, could indicate an air sign, such as a Libran, and it could indicate someone who you have been dealing with who has been a bit of a thorn in the side, because this is the karmic card, so it's about a karmic journey. There may be a healing take place, or there may be some resolution over something that may have gone wrong or happened with this relationship, and that it might be going through the court process now or being dealt with in a fairer way. Most likely it indicates that you will come out in favour. There's a possibility that a karmic debt is being finalised and paid back, and that you are now free to make decisions and choose, because options will pop up. And this is where perhaps for some of you there will be an enabling of new love, happiness or magic in your life, because a karmic release is taking place. So quite a lot going on there, and I can't separate it into any more specific boxes. It seems like it's all over the place. It's kind of, it's a funny thing to say, isn't it? You're starting this really hectic decade that we're moving into in quite a messy way. There seems to be lots of stuff going on for you, maybe lots of people around, lots of agendas going on, some karmic stuff that's being tied up, some breaking free of something, some new magic coming in. Kind of, you know, it's a lot to put on show and it's a lot to have happen, but it makes sense because of this extreme energy that is around us right now. You know, don't make light of what is going on in the world at the moment. It is intense, and the things that have shown up from those cards just kind of prove that intensity. So this is for Aries. What else would you like to show them? And again, you know, quite a lot have jumped out. I think that's a really nice message there, straight on the top. Have some confidence, which, to be honest, I think Aries do have quite a lot of confidence quite often, but just remember that and keep the confidence going. You're definitely releasing and surrendering something, and we've seen that in a couple of the cards. You know, you also know that you're releasing something when you get the number 1, because this is the brand new beginnings and the magic and the newness. So something will give way when that happens. You also got there's nothing to worry about, which is a really nice, just sort of sealing that all off for you. Yes, there might be a lot going on. Yes, there's a lot happening, but I think there's good opportunities in all of those cards that came, and, you know, plenty of activity and things happening for you. The other thing was to ground yourself a little bit, so spend time outdoors, in nature, maybe in meditation, in peacefulness, in calm, in quiet. This might be beneficial for your health, both physically, mentally and spiritually. And you could also find that this is where you achieve answers to questions that you might be asking yourself, and where you might find solutions and answers into the choices you are making as you move forward. So let's just take a couple of these very quickly for Aries. What else would you like to just tell them? And then we'll do one final card at the end, which is a pretty intense one, but I think it's worth doing at this time of the year. So this is for Aries for January. Well, they're not exactly being very forthright, are they? Come on, guys. Oops. Forgiveness, St. Mary Magdalene. It's kind of lovely that she's come out around this time of the year, because of course I'm doing this reading in December, and so Mary Magdalene and the Jesus Christed white light are all around at this time. But forgiveness might be a really powerful energy to have, especially if there are any of these type of situations that have come into play that involve letting go and releasing and having people move on from your life that may have been confronting or caused problems or created blocks or made you think twice about yourself or how you act or react or deal with them or deal with yourself. So forgiveness doesn't mean that you necessarily accept any behavior that has been unfair or unjust or abusive, but it just means that you allow that energy that has been holding on to you, you allow it to be released and you surrender it up so that you are free to feel the white light and move on in balance and harmony. So with that in mind, guys, let's see what this last card is going to be for you for Aries. And I will read from the book from this deck, because these are very intense, deep cards, and they are really worth getting into. They may take a little bit of comprehension and understanding, but inevitably I think the message will be thought-provoking, as well as kind of like it will be empowering at many different levels. And that's why I believe it will take a little while for the energetic vibration of the message to sink in. Well, there we go. That one was determined to come out. And it came out face up, which is really cool. So this is Goddess Gaia, an open jasper, and it's Goodwill. Now, we talked a little bit about being out with Gaia, and one of the other cards we had was the ocean, and I mentioned, those came out and the feeling was quite strong about them. I just talked briefly about them, but now this card is also making itself present in the mix with these messages. So I am going to read this to you, and just to enjoy the message and see what way it will affect you. So I will find an ocean Goddess Gaia and ocean jasper, Goodwill. We bring you the empowerment of goodwill. There is a type of spiritual power you can co-create which benefits and protects you whilst mutually empowering others to take their journey and experience divine success. This spiritual power, known as goodwill, is generated by how you feel inside and the attitude you cultivate towards others. When you know that you have value, it is easy to recognize the value in another. When you feel encouraged by the universe, it is easy to encourage others. As you put out support, encouragement, and goodwill for the success of all being, this energy is amplified and returned to you. When you feel peace within, it is easier to recognize that you have a place in the world and a destiny no person can take away from you. And when you recognize that, it's easier to know that others also have their own place destined for them alone. This removes fear and competition and allows you to become an encourager. An encourager is a person who generates goodwill. They are not afraid of missing out. They believe in their own destiny and operate within a field of abundance. They trust that their rightful divine inheritance will be bestowed upon them according to a loving and generous divine intelligence. They trust that all people can receive without causing harm or diminishment to any other. They believe in win-win situations and know the only way humanity can evolve is together. So they want others to succeed. They are happy to be at the cosmic traffic lights, so to speak, and allow the others who have a green light to go first. They know their time for the green light will come in due course, and so it shall be for all taking a journey on the divine highway of life. Goodwill that is cultivated by individuals becomes part of a collective field. It is the psychic equivalent of a group of angels, perhaps with cheerleader pom-poms waiting in the sidelines until someone needs help. They then burst forward with unparalleled enthusiasm to rally the person's spirits and boost their confidence. If you have ever attended a sporting game with a cheer squad in attendance, you'll know just how effective communication and encouragement can be for the teammates in the game to tap into their strength of will and refuse to give up. The stronger that field of goodwill created on a day-to-day basis by individuals, the more encouragement is available to whomever needs it, whenever they need it. It's very real. Although the prospect of angelic cheerleaders might be amusing, the energy of goodwill has the power to reach into another person's life and turn desperation into determination. It is a force worth cultivating in our world by simply wishing each person well and being an encourager because of this alone. However, there is a further benefit to goodwill. For those who consciously cultivate it, it becomes a protective field against ill-wishing, which is the opposite of goodwill. Ill-wishing and curses are fear-based energies which are either repelled by goodwill or absorbed and transformed by it. You don't have to interact or react with those energies or even pay them much attention at all, if any. You just need to focus on how good you feel within yourself when you want everybody to win at their spiritual game of life. You'll get encouragement back when you need it. And of course, as you say to the universe, I want everyone to win. And the universe says to you, I want you to win. And that really does match with your mantra that you got. Abundance is drawn to my every action. I am a magnet for divine prosperity because of your goodwill and your wishing for everyone to experience goodwill. So if you have had any trauma or problems or what you feel to be karma and events that have come by or been in the past or have held you up or prevented you from allowing yourself to be where you want to be, then just purpose that into goodwill. Release it and let go of any discontent or boredom or negativity and foster it all into the productivity of goodwill. And then that just comes back to you, and then more and more movement in the right direction of your life's journey will occur. So it's a lovely way to finish the reading. Goodwill is something that we can all do. It's free. It's just a change of attitude in many ways. So with that, we shall end your reading, Aries, and I wish you all the very best of goodwill. And for every single one of you watching this video, I wish you success, love, and happiness. May your life be filled with it, and may you have blessings of abundance and prosperity. So I thank you all for listening, subbing, and liking the channel, and I love it when you leave your comments, as do most other people. So take care, rush into that new year with the Aryan energy and get on with life and get up with the goodwill. Much love. Namaste.